Good morning, everybody. Oh, quick end of music. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday Stream of Consciousness, our flagship show where we mix it up and let you guys kind of run the show a lot of times with your comments. We just play off that. So we'll have some fun. Welcome everybody watching on the McGrath Podcast Network, everybody watching us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and all the groups that allow us to share. You see some of our favorites always scrolling at the bottom, but there's dozens and dozens of groups that allow us to share this show and get the 80,000 views that we had in the last 30 days. Thank you so much for that, guys. Your help, you who come and participate and comment, and you watch it later and often engage. But if you're watching this, please throw a like or laugh. Throw anything. Throw any kind of engagement. If you think this show is stupid, just put a laughy face up. Anyway, we want to thank John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings from America's Pastime to Love for Baseball, Flo and Can over at Bottom Line Sports. Great podcast they do. We share it whenever I'm paying attention to Flo's prompt to share the show. Who else? Let's Talk Sports. Ken Krause over at Golf Bud Sports of All Sorts. And I missed somebody, I think, but I apologize. Anyway, there's dozens and dozens of other groups that support us, and we appreciate that. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland. Where'd my banner go? Check out, I think I might have put this on a timer. That might be why. Turn that off. We'll get back to you in a second. How come I can't? There we go. All right, we're good. Ralph Williams, RW Media, Ocean City, Maryland, Pittsburgh Focus, national footprint. Check out Ralph's stuff, especially the Sports Corner that he does with Smoking Jim Frazier from 4 to 6 p.m. every Tuesday. That's Eastern time. I've been a guest there several times and I've always enjoyed myself. Lots to talk about today. You know, it's funny. I got to say this off the top. I missed Bobby Cox passing away when I did the MLB update, and I really feel bad about that. And we'll talk some baseball today, obviously Yankees and Mets, injuries to pitchers. I got some ABS conversation to kind of throw out there, Danny. Again, just some consequences that I want to make sure we're all okay with. But Bobby Cox passed away. Great career for Bobby Cox. 14 consecutive division titles, finally won a World Series with the Braves, a great manager with the Blue Jays previous to that, and the Braves again previous to that. One of the great baseball lifers. I don't know that we have those types of managers anymore, but Bobby Cox was a great manager. Again, didn't win a lot of World Series, and that's a knock against him, I know. But Bobby Cox is a Hall of Famer all the way, and we send our condolences to his friends and family. We'll get into some of that talk. As I said, we'll talk some Mets and Yankees. We'll talk injuries. Ohtani struggles a little bit. And in fact, the Dodgers doing well, despite the fact that Ohtani struggled. Tucker and Diaz have been busts, 25% of the way through the season as far as big signings this year. But we can talk about that. I get a few things on ABS I want to talk about. I hate beating a dead horse, but every time I find some more information, I want to make sure the guys who are proponents of this are still okay with it. We got the NBA playoffs. Obviously, we got Game 7 with the Cavs and Pistons tonight. The Pistons, 2 series in a row, have stepped up with their backs to the wall, and now they go into Game 7 at home. James Harden's starting to play a little bit better. Not great, but better. Anunoby will be ready for the Knicks, it looks like, on Tuesday. NBC somehow, this is gonna bring the tinfoil hat people out. NBC somehow, I think it was NBC, right? I think they have the finals. They run a promo for the Knicks and Cavs starting their series on Tuesday night, which brings out all the conspiracy nuts on social media about, scripted sports events. Nonsense. Please stop. Spurs and Thunder will get underway. Spurs dominate the Wolves the last 2 games, and we know that the Thunder did dominate the Lakers. I don't care. They dominated, Jack. MVP gets announced this week. We got stories in the NBA offseason that are going to dominate. You know, LeBron, what happens to LeBron? Where's LeBron going to play next year? What do the 76ers do, specifically with Embiid, and do they start over? Clippers and Kawhi. Giannis, big story. Pistons have some decisions to make about Duren and Thompson. Duren, by the way, he's going to be a restricted free agent, and it's going to cost them money. Some stupid team's going to offer him the max, and the Pistons are going to have a decision to make. Brian Arntz talked about the fact that they need to be patient with him because he had a great second half of the season, averaged 21-11 the second half of the season, I believe, and maybe 19 for the season. But he's been asleep in the playoffs. He played a good game last time, 15-11. But he's pretty much been asleep in the playoffs. So Detroit's got a decision to make there. The Sabres with a great surge last night, down 3-1 with their backs to the wall. Luckinen, I can't say his name, who got pulled by Lindy Ruff in Game 5 for Lyon, gets benched, and Lions gets benched last night. I've given up 3 goals on 4 shots, and all he did was shut him down the rest of the game. And the Spurs scored 7 unanswered goals. They're down 3-1 in this game. Montreal's got this series in their back pocket, and they give it away. And we got a Game 7 tomorrow night, I believe, in the NHL quarterfinals, semifinals in the East. Sorry. NFL news. Rodgers is officially back on a 1-year contract. I'm sure that'll drive some interest. The NFL schedule. Why is there such a big deal about the NFL schedule release? Why are we sitting, we debate? I mean, I know it's relevant. We got to talk about something, and the NFL tries to keep, and they do a good job of generating interest year round. But first of all, the big, TV launch of the schedule, it's just a bunch of, I can read it the next day. And the toughest schedule versus, the easiest schedules. I don't know what's tough until the teams start playing. What looks tough now is easy come, November. We're saying, that team had the easiest schedule in the NFL. But what about before the season? Things change. Easy schedules get tougher and tougher schedules get easier. So we'll talk about that. 9 international games. Roger Goodell is halfway to his dream. His dream now is to get the 18-game season and 1 game every week in an international site. That's what Roger Goodell wants. Is that good for the game? Is all the streaming, the NFL keeps selling games off individually. They sold off the Thanksgiving Eve game to Netflix for I don't know how many millions. So again, you got to have, I have them. That's not the point. Some people can't afford a gazillion streaming services. There's been a lot of uproar about this. Even the president has talked about this and wants them to look into this. He wants the DOJ to look into this. And I guarantee you that if the word antitrust gets brought up, something might change. That's how you get sports leagues to kind of bend to your will. Bring up antitrust. What else did I want to talk about today? And the Preakness. Yawn. No Triple Crown attempt, 2nd year in a row. And I want to say at least 50% of the time, it feels like we're getting this. No attempt to win a Triple Crown. They've got to make some adjustments. We've talked about this before, and I know we talked about stretching these races out to Labor Day. I'm not talking about that. It's too long. But they need more time for these horses to recover. 2 weeks is not enough. So they need to go to 3 weeks between races. Maybe they need to boost the bonus for winning a Triple Crown. Again, they did it. That's one way they fixed this. At one other time was they put a bonus into play that if you ran in all 3 races and won, well, actually you can't win without running in all 3, you'd get a bonus. So anyway, there's more to talk about. In the NFL, by the way, I said, we know Diggs is back. Where's he going to play? Is OBJ coming back to the Giants? There's a lot of news around, and we'll get to that. We're going to get to your comments because, again, it's your show. We got some comments already. CA had a comment up before we started. Blessed Sunday to you, CA. Good to have you with us, as always. Good Sunday morning, Danny. We'll get into some OBS with you, or ABS with you this morning, Danny, because I want to know that you're okay with a couple of numbers that I've come across here regarding ABS. And I want to make sure you're okay with it. And let me throw a couple things out there while I go to the rest of the comments. So walks are up. In the last 2 years, there's been, I don't know, 4 games and then maybe 5 games the other year with 10 walks by a team. There's been 18 already this year. The strike zone, and again, we've talked about this. Until they make some changes, this ABS system is not working the way it was intended. I'm sorry. The strike zone is basically 3 inches shorter than it's ever been before. Most of it at the top of the strike zone. So walks are way up. Not unintentional walks are way up. And swings are down. Swings are down. The guys who are adjusting to what this is, they're not going to swing. So you're going to have, you want to watch about, I mean, I know we want the calls right. So please don't give me that. I understand that. I want the calls right too. I also happen to think human error is okay. But let's forget about that. This system needs to get fixed for it to be working correctly. The challenges got to go away. So we need to have the system calling balls and strikes entirely. And you can't do that until you fix this because the strike zone needs to be right. The other thing is with guys figuring out the strike zone's much smaller, 3 inches shorter is a lot. They're not swinging. We're on a pace for 10,000 less swings. Now, that may not seem like a lot to you, but to me, I want to watch swings. I don't want to watch guys walk and walk. 18 walks. We're on a pace to have well over 100. Well, no, that's bad. 70 to 80. But it's going to go up probably. Again, as the hitters further adjust to this, they're going to walk more and more. So again, answer the questions. And again, I know you didn't hear that before I put this up. But again, are you okay with that, Danny? Are you okay with 18 10-walk games so far? That's because that's exciting baseball, I know. I hate it. I hate it. You're telling me it's not disrupting the game, but it is. In ways, again, you can't just look at the challenges and say, oh, that only took, 10 seconds. And the umpires have to be better. I know it's not going away. I'm not trying to say that it is. John Gonzalez is here. Hello, John. Good to have you with us. Listen, I'm not Anthony Volpe's uncle. If I was, I'd have a chat with the man. If I was John, if I was Volpe's uncle, Anthony Volpe would be a much better player. I will tell you that right now. Just saying. American hockey is better off without the Canadians. Why? American hockey, sure. Listen, I'm not a Canadians fan. I root for stories. It would be a great story if a Canadian team won hockey Stanley Cup after 34 years of not doing it. It's their national game. You should be embarrassed. But I'm not rooting against the Sabres either. Listen, I'm a Rangers fan, so I really don't care. And kudos to the Sabres for coming back last night. Great job. A lot of teams that have packed it in 3-1 in the second period last night. So congratulations to the Sabres and good luck in Game 7. Did I do it, Jack? It's rubbing off on me. Man, Jack, am I wrong? And Jack, if you're there, you can feel free to comment. Because I'm going to bring this up to you tomorrow, too. Jack, again, walked back his comments when he said the Thunder and Spurs, if the Thunder beat the Spurs, it's no longer going to be a rivalry. If this is going to be a rivalry for years to come, just because one team wins the series this year doesn't mean the rivalry's over. Hell, the Yankees and the Red Sox were a rivalry when the only way it could have been a rivalry if we considered the rivalry between a hammer and a nail a rivalry. So Jack says that, and then he walks it back and says, well, if it's a close series, then come on. He argued for 10 minutes vehemently that the Spurs were going to be head and shoulders, basically, no rivalry and no chance for the Thunder. Their window is closed, to use the term we all love today. If they lost this series, nothing could be further from the truth. Thunder's they're not going away. They're not folding up business. What did Jack voice sound like anyway? What did I do? Get hype? What happened? Did I interrupt myself? Blue Jays Tiger. Who else remembers this old rivalry? I don't. Jays slipped past the Tigers 2-1 win in the 10th. You know, again, we had a rivalry, kind of regional rivalry weekend in Major League Baseball, interleague play wise. But the Red Sox ended up playing the Braves, so they can't make this perfect. I don't remember the Blue Jays and Tigers being a great rivalry ever, though, Chris. Sorry. And good morning, Chris. Good to have you with us. They played a couple of I want to say in the 80s. Maybe it was the 90s. 80s. I think it was the 80s. The Tigers and Blue Jays played from some postseason series, but I wouldn't call it a great rivalry. If they were in the same division, that might have happened. But realignment changed that. Pat's home openers into rain. That's pretty. Oh, God. John, you kill me. That's pretty funny stuff right there, though. The Pats do open in Seattle against the defending champions. And, of course, a rematch of the Super Bowl, which the NFL has done more than once. I mean, usually the team that wins certainly gets that opening night window, which will be on a Wednesday this year, by the way. There's another thing. So we're taking up more days. We're playing at least 2 Wednesdays because we're playing the opener on Wednesday and we're playing Thanksgiving Eve. But, you know, that's fun. But, again, if the Pats lose to them, am I supposed to curl up and die? The Patriots have a tougher schedule this year. We all knew that. We all knew that was coming. We all knew they were playing the NFC North. There's nothing. What we found out was the dates of the games. We already knew the schedule, didn't we? Maybe I'm misremembering. But, you know, I mean, do we think the Browns are going to be in the playoffs because they got the easiest schedule? The Bengals might rebound because they got the 3rd easiest schedule. Well, that could change, and we can look at some of these schedules. If people bring up specific instances, I'll go look at the schedule, and we'll look at teams that potentially could be better than we think or even worse than we think. I think I just don't understand the whole hoopla about because I'm seeing people, again, I don't know what these people do. You know, no, my days aren't tied up with a lot of brain surgery type stuff, but these people are in their mother's basements 24/7 because, I mean, they're geeking out for a week before the release of the schedule. I mean, it's not that big a deal. And you got to play who they put on your schedule. So why do we get toughest, easiest? I mean, I just don't get all worked up over this stuff. Whoever you play, you play. Hello, Alan. Good to have you with us. Speaking of teams, I don't know about the Cowboys schedule. I just said I don't care, but we can feel free to go there, guys. It's your show. It's good to have you with us, Alan. I know you weren't feeling good for a while. I hope you're feeling better. Your Rangers up and down as usual. That AL West is not good right now, man. Not good at all. John says they must make it a rule. If you win the Kentucky Derby, you have to run the race in the Preakness. First of all, I don't know if they can do that. I don't think you can, say you're obligated to run. I mean, what if your horse got hurt? Because that's what you would find, right? But I think there's ways to do it. You'd induce people to do it, entice people to do it, entice people to do it. And money makes that happen. And also, don't make it so. I understand. I mean, part of winning the Triple Crown was the fact that it was done over the course of 6 weeks or 7 weeks, because I think there was 3 weeks. And John, you might be able to help me with this, between the Preakness and the Belmont. And Danny, you might be able to too as well. I think there historically has been 3 weeks. 2 weeks between the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, and 3 weeks till the Belmont. I could be wrong on that, but I feel like I'm right. I believe it's 3 weeks this year. They're running one more in Saratoga before they go back to New York. And as a person who lives close enough to Saratoga that when things go crazy in Saratoga, it affects me. I'm almost happy there's no Triple Crown because this area would have been a zoo that week. But as a racing fan, horse racing fan, I'd like to see Triple Crown opportunities. I think they need to space it out a little bit more. And again, when we had this discussion last time, I seem to remember somebody's suggestion was, well, run it through the summer and the last race would be Labor Day. And that's just too long. But I think they should go to at least 3 weeks. And you can try something, right? Maybe because the trainers are saying that they're not running because of the difficulty of coming back and racing so quickly after a difficult race like the Derby. And I get it. So try 3 weeks between the Derby and the Preakness. If that doesn't work, try a month. If we had to go a month between races, well, maybe we would be Labor Day then, right? May, June, July. Well, we'd be in August. A month between races might be too long. But let's try 3 weeks and see if that has any effect. The Derby winner's been here in Saratoga since about 2 days after he won the Derby, by the way. Chris with his weekly Trevor Bauer update. I also saw Trevor Bauer in another argument with umpires this week as well. And Trevor Bauer's a great pitcher, but I can't put a ton of stock in striking out 15 batters playing for the Long Island Ducks. But I mean, it looks like nobody's debating his talent. Trevor Bauer's a tremendously talented pitcher, but he carries a lot of baggage with him. He's not a good character guy, and not a guy even that just character, just his personality. I don't think it's worth putting him in a clubhouse of a winning team. Maybe he'll go pitch with a loser. He's obviously being blackballed, right? And teams have a right to do what they want, have the type of people they want on their teams. And I guess if they collude to keep him out, well, that'd be wrong because, collusion is illegal, as we know, and we've seen in baseball with salaries and whatnot. So you can't collude to keep him out. But if individually every team in Major League Baseball says we don't want this guy, he's not worth the hassle, then I get it. Oh, my God, right? Jack was talking about the fact, Jack's a boxing guy. He's not really an MMA guy, neither am I. But if I'm not mistaken, you guys, if some of you guys are MMA guys, I'm not. But obviously I know who Ronda Rousey is. And they were playing this up like a huge match, grudge match or something of that sort. And I'm not watching this. I don't know if you had to pay. Was it live on Netflix or I'm not even sure. Well, you had to pay for Netflix if you didn't have it. I could have watched it, I suppose, if it was on Netflix. I don't know where it was. I really don't. But if I'd stayed up till 12:30 to watch that 17 seconds, I'd have been pissed too. I did not, and it was not even a consideration for me. So back in the day, umpires expand their strike zone, and that was okay to give Maddox pitches. Why do we pick on Maddox? So Maddox is missing a strike zone by this much, by the way. Not 3 inches. That's unfair to Greg Maddux, by the way. No, I'm not saying it was okay. I'm not saying it's okay at all, Danny. I'm saying this system that you adore so much has a lot of flaws. Because the way it's actually working right now, it's designed to keep people from swinging the bat. Well, maybe that's unfair. And again, I'm not looking for reasons. I came across this article and pointed out all this stuff. 18 10-walk games. You think that's fun that's good baseball? That's fun to watch, right? 18. That's one team, by the way, not multiple teams. I can't get on board. I'm on board. I know we're not putting the genie back in the bottle, Danny. I understand this. And I know that I can't change your mind. I'm not trying to. All I'm asking you is, are you okay with the repercussions? Are you okay with watching walkathons? And the fact that, 10,000 less swings is going to end up in a lot less offense being played. or a lot less strikeouts or something. So, and again, all I'm trying to point out is one thing. When I said none of these rules come without unintended consequences, here we are. I'm not saying we'll do away with it. In fact, I've been a proponent now that it's here that the ABS system be allowed to call balls and strikes altogether. Fix it so the strike zone is correct. And by the way, 2 wrongs don't make a right. I learned that very young. So that's not an argument. If it's still wrong, what's the point? I might as well let the umpires get it wrong. The whole idea is it's supposed to be right. You want the calls to be right, and they're not right, is the point. If the strike zone's 3 inches smaller, unless you're telling me that's what the strike zone needs to be, okay, then change the strike zone. And again, I've come to the realization that this is here to stay. I get it. I don't want to watch the challenges. They're boring. I know, Danny, you seem to think it's an exciting part of the game, sitting there for, whatever, 5 or 10 seconds and waiting for a cartoon to come on. We'll see how exciting you think it is, Game 7 of the World Series, but that's fine. 9th inning, bases loaded, tie game, strike 3, going to the next inning. Oh, timeout. That's going to be exciting. A walk-off ABS call. Can't wait. Unintended consequences. I know you love it. I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm really not. I just want to I'm really trying just to spur some interaction with you. Again, but not just for the point of interaction. I want your opinion on the unintended consequences that we're seeing. Former Astros pitcher Randy Johnson has started a petition called Leave the Game Alone. Good. Thank you, Randy. Go talk to guys like Goose Gossage and these guys. They don't want this. They don't play anymore. I get it. But then the players today don't even know who Goose Gossage is, for Christ's sakes. Caleb Wilson doesn't get drafted 2nd overall. He's going to be known as the one that got away. That's possible, Chris. He's a good player, very good player. But there's no sure thing. I don't think there's I shouldn't say. I think the top 4 guys, the kid from BYU, whose name I'm never going to be able to say right, Cam Boozer, Caleb Wilson, and the kid from Kansas, who, again, now is kind of being scrutinized because he's talking about some of his issues were due to some creatine use. Anyway, but there's no slam dunk like Cooper Flag here. There's going to be some interesting stuff in the NBA offseason, including the draft. There's 4 guys that I like, the 4 that I mentioned, and then it becomes basically, a grab bag in my mind. And some of those guys will turn into fine players. Don't get me wrong. Danny versus Godzilla. Who's Godzilla in this scenario? You can hear music yet? My bad, Danny. I didn't mute that. That's too funny. I don't hear it at all with the headset on, but I didn't mute it, and I've heard that before. So I apologize, and thank you for that heads up, Danny. Congratulations. You want to give him a shout out? Give the school a shout out. High school state championship for Allen's alma mater. Did you play in that team, Allen? Not this team, obviously. Congratulations to them. I hope that's not your only championship this year. Julio Terrain retired. Geez, it does seem innocuous. And I was going to say he's been around a while because I remember that name. I believe he came up. I want to say he came up with the Braves and was a pretty good prospect at the time. Again, another reason prospects are called prospects. Hey, Jeremy. I see Jeremy out there. Here's Jeremy with a good morning. Good morning. How are you, boys? Good to have you with us. I don't see Michael there, but if Michael's there, good morning. Saratoga was the August place to be. Now they're starting on July 3rd. Well, they're starting actually in June, Rick, because we've got the Belmont week So, you know, they have a week of stuff going on in June, and then they come back on July 3rd and race till Labor Day. So, look, no good thing goes unspoiled, right? It was a nice short meet, 5 weeks. Most years was 5 weeks, August to Labor Day, and we're done. Actually, they didn't even go to Labor Day, I think. They would always stop that Wednesday before Labor Day, then go back to Belmont. But, now who knows? Now that they've had the Belmont up here, which I think has been fun for the area, and then get influx money, so that's a good thing. And that's why the meet is 2 months long now, too, right? It's all about dollars and cents. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, there might be 2 dark days a week now, too, instead of 1. They've tried different things. Before they lengthened the season, they went to no dark days. Tuesdays were always a dark day. Back when it was August, it was confined to the month of August, basically. Tuesday was a dark day. And then when they wanted to try to push it a little further, they went to no dark days. Then they went back to the dark days and lengthened it, made it an extra week, an extra 6, then now it's 2 months. But, it hasn't hurt, really. I mean, the big days, they still get big crowds. The weekday crowds really aren't any less than they've been. The handle goes up. So, you do get oversaturation, but it's fine. When Tom Glavine finished his career, it was in a Mets uniform with release papers. Imagine having that conversation. Tom Glavine never pitched that great with the Mets. And it's a shame. He should have finished his career with the Braves, to your first comment there, Chris. But, the lasting image, Tom Glavine, again, was part of those great teams, the late Bobby Cox's great teams in Atlanta. That just couldn't win World Series. They won 1. They won 14 straight division championships, which is a record. But they couldn't get over the top. And Glavine, ironically, goes to the Mets. And the year after they lost in Game 7 of the NLCS with Carlos Beltran with a bat on his shoulder against Adam Wainwright, the next year, they blow a 7-game lead with 17 games to play, I believe. And Tom Glavine, the last day of the season, when they have a chance to win, Tom Glavine's on the mound. I'm not even sure if he got out of the first inning. He got out. I know he didn't finish much, maybe 2 innings or into the second inning. But it seems ironic. All those Braves teams that couldn't get over the top, the Mets had one of the great collapses of all time. And Tom Glavine's on the mound for the last nail. Nevada gets Netflix for free, and the Rousey. No, yeah, because your time is worth something. If I'd stayed up till 12:30, I've been looking for somebody to give me back that last, 2 hours that I didn't get to sleep. Again, I put that up before. Where's Michael? Michael, give us a comment if you're out there watching. Good morning, Jeremy. Their name is John. What did he call you? He didn't call you anything. Jeremy, say hi to John. What do you got here? So you don't, so what don't you want? Say what? We only serve T-bone steaks and baked potatoes. So you either want corn or cob or green beans. I don't know what we're talking about. I got to tell you, so went to the University of Rhode Island on Friday for the graduation ceremonies there. My stepson, out of order, got his master's. He already has his BA. He got his BA at his undergrad. He did at Miami. He got his doctorate. Usually people get their master's and their doctorate. He got his doctorate at Chapel Hill, and then he's working for Pfizer. But he went to night classes for the last 2 years to get his master's. So he walked, and it was kind of cool. The founder of Netflix actually was the keynote speaker. He was very interesting. He's been out of the company for a long, long time, long before they became worth $300 billion. But I remember seeing him. There's a documentary about the startup of Netflix, and this guy's forte is startup, so he was really good. Because I've sat through graduations that are just like, oh my god! But the speakers were all really good. The school president was very personable and did a lot of hugging as the graduates came across and got announced across the stage. We had a lot of fun, and we drove into Foxwoods, which I think you're familiar with. Rick goes out to Foxwoods. No, you go to Mohegan Sun, I think. But I haven't been to Foxwoods in a long time. But we went out there to go to Hell's Kitchen, which is Gordon Ramsay's restaurant. I have to tell you, it's not cheap, but I had a beef Wellington that melted in your mouth, and the dough, the outside part, was cooked so perfectly and seasoned so well. It's not cheap. It's like $70, but so it was an expensive dinner, but well worth it. We had a lot of fun. Anyway, we stayed at their house overnight and drove home yesterday morning. So they lived in like 25 or 30 minutes from Foxwood and Colchester. So we had fun, great weekend, and we had a great meal. I'm not sure what we're talking about here, CA, but I'll take all of that. You didn't mention anything I won't take. I don't need to make a choice. I'll have it all. Alan did not play, but by the time my body was already done, Mustang High School. Well, congratulations to Mustang High School. What's their mascot? Jack was Alan. No, Jack's going back further and further than that now. We got the Jack's Little League days last week. Back when there were no helmets and everybody left their glove on the field for the next guy to use when he came out. Tough break for Clay Holmes. Absolutely. Leg injury for him. There's some hope that he may come back this year, but he'd been pitching pretty well. One of the brighter spots for the Mets. A lot of injuries, man. I mean, I was pulling up some of the names. So somebody, again, this is a freaky injury. Anybody can get this. But I continue to tell you, the way pitchers are brought to the major leagues, the way they're trained not to throw enough, not to strengthen their arms, and then when they get here, just pitch as hard, throw as hard as you can for as long as you can. We have some big names, man, with injuries. Skubal, Crochet, Swellenbach, Hunter Green, Hunter Brown, Woodruff, Joe Ryan, Pavetta, Hader, Diaz, now Fried, not Matt Snell. Blake Snell's going to have another surgery. We still got some guys that haven't come back, like Cole, who's, by the way, through 99.6, nearly hit 100 yesterday on a radar gun. He's probably a couple weeks away yet. But lots of injuries still to pitchers, and Major League Baseball needs to wake up. Tough. The Dodgers, listen, they're doing well. They're in first place and playing good baseball, but it's amazing. Ohtani's been awful. Yesterday he had a Little League home run, and I think he had a couple hits and a couple RBIs because he sat a couple days trying to get him out of his funk. He hasn't played well, and their two signings, again, 1/4 of the way through the season, there's a lot of baseball to play. But Tucker, I told you about Tucker's defense. It's below average. It's average at best, but it's probably below average at this point. He's only hitting about 240 with maybe 4 home runs. And Diaz has been atrocious before he got hurt. He's done for the year, I believe. Danny can correct me if I'm wrong. An ERA around 10. Closers are just a crapshoot, man, when you sign them. And Tucker, I'm glad the Yankees didn't sign him. I was never in favor of giving this guy, I can't remember what he got now, $50 million a year. I'm making that up because I truly, at this point, just in my head, can't remember. But I know it's a huge number. I was never in favor of giving him the money. I was in favor of bringing Bellinger back, who's a better player, for cheaper. That's what I said, Alan. I'll take all of that. I think he was asking me to make a choice. I can't make any choices there. Give me all of it. Give me that corn on the cob, man. My wife makes the best corn on the cob because we put it on the grill, but she seasons it all up with. I like corn on the cob too. Just if it's good corn, you can put it on that grill with nothing, no butter, no salt, no nothing. But she's got a concoction where she puts some olive oil on it and there's some seasonings on it. I grill it up and oh my God, that stuff is so good. What do you got here, CA? Or not CA, that's Chris. Joe Neuendijk told Mike Modano, if you have doubt about playing one more season, do it. Even if you go and you have, and you just don't have it, it's better than play the rest of your life wondering. You know, there's two sides to that, right? I mean, it's hard to go out on top because you do wonder. Guys will wonder. But it's always sad. I mean, I don't want to see my favorite players go out like Willie Mays falling down in the outfield in the World Series. When guys have obviously lost it, it's sad to watch. He's not the only one, right? I mean, Derek Jeter was a shell of himself at the end of his career. Mickey played too long. But, you know, it's hard to say you should go away when you're on top. You know, how do you know? I did figure that out. Diner scene in hell or high wall. Oh, I got you. Okay. I sometimes I can't put these things together. And that's not a movie that I watched a lot. I might sneeze. All right. Anyway, Danny, you still haven't commented on my unintended consequences. I understand. You give me the same argument. I get it about the ABS. But are you okay if this is what we have? Let's just assume for a second. And again, they're going to make it better. I understand that. We go to a 3D strike zone. That should improve some of the inaccuracies, if you will. Then guys, please don't stop those comments. You guys are the ones that drive this show, and you can talk about anything you want here. It doesn't have to be what I've talked about. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. The NFL schedules, the 9 international games. Watson going to be the starter, it looks like, at least to start the season in Cleveland. Now I got to say his name again. Where's Stephon Diggs going to end up? Are you happy with your team's schedule? Not happy? How do you feel your team's going to do based on that schedule? Well, look, it's hard to tell. The WNBA, by the way, Caitlin Clark has a good game yesterday. She's really struggled the first couple of games. She struggled for 3 quarters of that game and then helped this team win with a few 3-pointers in the fourth quarter, including one that sent it to overtime, I believe. Lisa Leslie will get a statue out in Los Angeles. That's a lot of statues, man. How many statues do they have out there? I think I pulled this up a minute ago. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't. Oh, somewhere here I got it, I think. NBA. Maybe not. I mean, they got a lot of statues. They got Kobe. They got Jerry West. They got Jabbar. They got Riley. They got like 10 statues out there. What else? Pistons and Cavs tonight. I like the Pistons. I need the Pistons to win so I don't have to listen to the conspiracy theorists on social media who are already talking about how these games are all scripted and series are scripted because NBC erroneously, they got to have multiple previews ready, right? And they ran the wrong one. Or they ran one they shouldn't have run at all. For the Cavs and Knicks series to start on Tuesday. And we can talk about the upcoming Spurs and Thunder series and the Cavs. The Knicks and whoever they play, the Cavs or the Pistons. I do think it'll be the Pistons. You know, it's too funny. If they play the Cavs with the Knicks' luck, James Harden's playoff struggles will stop. And in fairness, James Harden's played decent basketball the last couple of games. Too many turnovers last game, but he's played some decent basketball the last couple of games. There's Danny. That's not what I asked, though. I didn't ask whether it was better. I'm asking about the unintended consequences, and are you okay with that? So anyway, let's read this whole thing. I think the challenge is a better system today than when baseball was in the 70s and 80s. Again, I don't, but that's fine. I've come to the realization this is what we're going to do. I think you had you had challenge in the 70s, 80s, it wouldn't be a big deal today. Well, no, it's 40 years later, and you would have had it 50 years later in some cases. And again, I don't want the challenges. The challenges need to go away. You and other people, a lot of other people tell me it's not disruptive. Yes, it is. And again, it's disruptive when the umpires are bad because you're going to get challenge after challenge, and it just disrupts the flow of the game. I'm sorry, it does. Maybe you don't watch the game the same way I do, but it's just disrupting. Too disrupting. I'm okay with I'm okay that this is where we are, but it's got to be better. It would be all ironed out as far as the strike zone being 2 or 3 inches more proportion. It's less. It's not more. It's less. I guess umpires don't call that a high strike anyways. I see it getting called more now than I think that's called, more than with the ABS. Just saying. You're seeing it not get called. Walks are up a ton, like 40. Where's that number? Walks are up through the roof. Where is it? Walks are up because swings are down. Hitters this season are swinging at only 46% of the pitches thrown. That's the lowest in 10 years. And we're headed probably, they say 10,000, but this is going to go up. It's probably going to be closer to 18 or 20,000 less swings this year because of ABS. So something's got to change. The pitchers have to change their approach. They got to call the strike zone. First of all, I don't know that what strike zone's right then? The one that we've used for the last, 50 years? Because the strike zone did change a bit in the 70s. Or the strike zone that ABS is calling. You can't just arbitrarily change it 3 inches. Because what happens is players with good eyes figure it out, and now we got a bunch of walks. You haven't answered my question. You're okay with that. You're okay the fact that we'll have somewhere between 70 and 100 games this year by teams, one team with 10 or more walks in a game. You're okay with that. And less swings, less real baseball offensive being played. I'm not. Walks are the most boring thing in baseball. They're important, but when you see a guy who's just walking guy after guy after guy, that's exciting. And again, I know I'm not trying. I probably sound like I'm trying to convince you, Danny, but I'm not, because I know I can't. I mean, I know you're a proponent of this, and I'm glad it's working the way you want. I'm telling you, there are consequences we did not intend, which is always the case. It's the case with it's the case with every rule that they put in. The clock. There's always unintended consequences. So they have to get this right, or I might as well have umpires calling it wrong. And maybe that's what the strike. So you're telling me that's what the strike zone should be. Well, I guess you're saying that if it had happened in the 80s, everything would be ironed out by now. Well, of course it would. I hope I don't need to wait 40 years. I don't have 40 years to wait for it to be fixed now, because I'm only going to get crankier. I'm not going to get better as I get, into my 70s and 80s. Mike Bucina, that's a good one. Mike Bucina, 20-8. By the way, the year before that, Mike Bucina was terrible. Terrible. And I think there was some talk he wouldn't come back. So that was his only 20-win season, by the way. Good one, Chris. You know, Danny does deserve a statue just for being a Laker fan as long as he has, I think. It's going to be interesting. And, you know, everybody talks about what LeBron's going to decide, right? I don't think LeBron's – the first choice is the Lakers. Do the Lakers want LeBron back? And I'm not sure they do. At any cost, right? I think they and many other teams would be interested in LeBron at a reasonable cost. Certainly not getting the max, the super max, as it were. But I could see some teams. I know Jack thinks the Knicks could use LeBron. I don't. Where's LeBron going to play in the Knicks, please? We don't need him. OG's better than LeBron at this point. And LeBron's still a fine player at 41 years old, 42 years old next year. I think he goes back to Cleveland. I think Cleveland is a perfect place for him to finish up and try to win another championship. And you guys can hate LeBron all you want. I know that people hate him, and there's a lot of things LeBron does that I'm not crazy about. But there's no denying his talent, and he's won championships in 3 different places. And, you know, a lot of guys get celebrated for such things. LeBron, who's his own worst enemy, isn't. But listen, I think San Antonio would be a good spot for him. I think Golden State would be a good spot for him. Golden State, they're getting a little old. I think San Antonio would be a great place for LeBron to be coming off the bench. And LeBron did, by the way, to his credit, LeBron did change his game when Luka was healthy and Reeves was healthy. LeBron had stepped back, and LeBron was okay being that third wheel pretty much and contributing in places that needed to have contribution. So you have to give him some credit for being able to step back and not be the man. Your team's schedule makes for conversation with all the. Let's look at it, Rick. I know you've mentioned this a couple times, so that let's bring it up. There's Lisa, Leslie. How come I can't find the NFL? Didn't I put a thing up for the NFL here? I don't think I'm going to get to any. Oh, we can talk about the college softball tournament started, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Where is my NFL tab here? Come on, I don't have one open. All right. By the way, I found out this morning, we were talking about before the show, that Mike McDaniel, the offensive coordinator of the Chargers, falls under the Rooney Rule. I did not know Mike McDaniel was biracial. I found out about this morning. James was talking about it before the show this morning. I did not know this. But he falls under the Rooney Rule because he's part of this whole panel that's going to be chatting about the Rooney Rule and this accelerator program to help minorities move through head coaching and general manager openings and whatnot. So I didn't know that. In any event, I don't know. I got sidetracked with that. Let's look at the schedule for the Vikings. They open with the Packers. They get the Bears. They get the Bucks. They get the Dolphins, the Saints. Well, you're playing James. Good call there. They get the Colts. They get the Lions. They get the Bills. That's not a very easy schedule so far. The Packers again, the 49ers, the Falcons, who are going to be better, I think. Panthers, Patriots. Ooh, that's going to be a Thursday night game. Nice. You know what? I think we're here. We're away in November when they play in Europe someplace, the Patriots, 9:30 game. Oh, we're getting on a ship that day. I'm going to see very little of that game probably. Maybe we'll get on a ship late. I probably don't need to be there at noon. Lions, Commanders, Jets. So you got the Jets. Panthers with Sonia. You got the Brian. Yeah, the whole podcast, the whole McGrath podcast network Rick has got this year. That's not an easy. Again, opinion could change. At first glance, not an easy schedule, right? What do you think they win in this schedule, Rick? If you're looking at today, and it's a little early, as I told you yesterday, for me to kind of judge these things, or the other day, I don't know what day it was. I'm going to say let's just say beat the Packers at home, lose to the Bears on the road, beat the Buccaneers on the road, beat the Dolphins. That's 3-1. Beat the Saints. Beat the Colts, lose to the Lions on the road, lose to the Bills. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lose to the Packers on the road. Beat the 49ers at home. That's 6. Beat the Falcons. That's 7. Beat the Panthers. That's 8. Lose to the Patriots. That's 8. Beat the Lions at home. That's 9. And Commanders and Jets, maybe you beat both of them or maybe a split. So I can see 10 wins for your team. I think 9 or 10 wins for the Vikings. Again, my opinion might change in August. Something could happen with the quarterback situation in Minnesota. And again, this could be any team. I think they're smart. They have a real quarterback competition in Minnesota. It's Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy have a real competition. Don't just give the job to Kyler Murray. That's not helping Kyler Murray. Allen does have a team that's playing at a high level, and likely I like the Thunder to win in 7, actually. I do think inexperience will be the Spurs' downfall as well. And by the way, it's the inexperience and the depth. There's no team in this playoffs that's as deep as the Thunder. I mean, they go 10 deep some nights if they have to. And with quality. I like what this team does. Everybody seems to know his role. Hartenstein has played a tremendous role on this team. He's very underrated. And the Knicks really felt his loss last year in the playoffs. And he's been I think he's been a really fine player doing the dirty work for the Thunder. But this is going to be a rivalry for years to come, the Spurs and the Thunder. I think. At least as long, when I say years to come, it's not going to be, 20 years because you can't keep teams together. But I think inexperience, and I think you saw some of that inexperience in the T-Wolves series with the Spurs early on. They lost 2 of the first 3, right? I think. Well, 2 out of the first 4 anyway. I mean, they dominated the last couple of games. But again, I mean, Jack kind of this morning not berated, but discounted the Thunder's beating the Lakers. They dominated the Lakers. Are they the Lakers the best team, one of the best teams in the West? Well, they got to the semifinals, so theoretically they're one of the top 4 teams in the West. And I can make an argument that version of the T-Wolves with an injured Edwards was no better than the Lakers. And the Spurs didn't dominate every game. They lost 2 games. And I think that inexperience shows up. I don't think the bench is as deep. I think you see some inexperience and frustration on Wemby sometimes. It's a good basketball team. Do not get me wrong. I think they might be a year away. CA says Coastal Carolina and Lafayette as the regular season ends. Carolina's they're going to be in the NCAA tournament. They've had a pretty good season. They struggled a bit toward the ends here, right? I believe CA, but it's going to be fun to see Carolina. This is going to be a fun NCAA baseball tournament, I think. You've got some teams that will be there and hopefully move on that were prominent decades ago. They were the teams, USC and Arizona State. I talked about this on the college football huddle or the college sports huddle. USC and Arizona State were the standard bearers back in the 60s and 70s. And then they've kind of fallen off for the Texases and the LSUs of the world. And, Miami for a while, Florida for a while, Florida State for a while, Cal Fullerton when Augie was there. But they're now relevant again, USC and Arizona State, and it'd be nice to see them make a run. But I think there's a lot of quality at the top of this tournament as well. They keep missing with baseball. Get rid of this nonsense. Go back to traditional baseball. I know the DH has been around since 1974, but I hate that too. Listen, John, I agree with you 1,000%. Danny won't, and that's his prerogative. I've never been a big DH fan, quite frankly. I think part of the game is playing the whole game. I understand why they did it in the 70s because the sport was lagging, offense was lagging. They were trying to keep some of the stars around longer. Again, remember, think about the DHs in 1974 or 70. No, they didn't have it in 74, I don't think. 76, I think, was the first year. Bloomberg was the first DH. I think it was in 1976. But regardless. Nah, maybe it wasn't. Because the A's had guys they were bringing into DH. You might be right, Danny. Sorry, John, you might be right. I don't know why my memory is flagging here. Because I remember Bloomberg being the first guy to bat. For some reason, I had 76 in my head. But then I'm thinking, no, because the A's had DHs, old guys. Darren Johnson and Billy Williams. So anyway, but you look at the guys who DH'd when it first came in the first few years, and they were aging stars like Aaron and Billy Williams and Orlando Cepeda. Now it's kids. Could be anybody. But again, we can't put the genie back in the bottles, not to keep using that cliche, but we're here and this is where we are. And I mean, when you think about it, basically pretty much every rule change and every major change, including stadiums, equipment, every major change has been to favor more offense. Right? Smaller ballparks. We lowered the mound. We made the baseball harder to grip, so we couldn't get the spin rate. We went to the DH. The bats got harder. We put in rules like the 30-second rule, so pitchers got to be ready to pitch within 30. And again, fine, whatever. But it does affects both sides. But the unable to throw over to first base more than twice, and the bigger bags that artificially inflate stolen bases. Again, everything's designed to help the offense. And it gets harder and harder to be a pitcher. Now the ABS, the strike zone's smaller. Who's that help? Walks are up by a big number, and guys aren't swinging. Those are not what you're trying to get. You want to get the calls right? I get it. But they bastardize everything. This is getting bastardized. If they don't fix it, it's going to be a mess. And I know it's not going away, but you're not going to hear me stop whining about it until they do something to make it right. I mean, and again, I guess to Danny's point, John is making a counterpoint that if they put this in 40 years ago, we'd be okay with it. I don't think I'm going to be okay with this 40 years from now when I'm 106. I'll probably be dead, quite frankly, but whatever. I hope I'm not, because I like it here. I don't know. I don't like the DH. I'm an American League fan. I'm a Yankee fan. You know, when I play it, I played, and I still play for fun. I really believe I'm getting out of all my fantasy leagues. I know I said that last year, but I think this year I'm done. I have no desire to do it. It's a chore every day to go look at these things. If you're not enjoying it, why are you doing it? But I was in a dynasty league for 35 years. Same 12 guys. We played National League baseball. Because I liked National League, or I did. Now it's irrelevant, right? Because there's a DH and interleague play and blah, blah, blah. But when the DH came in, and in the 80s, early 80s, started playing fantasy baseball, we played National League because that's a better brand of baseball, or was, because they played real baseball still. We saw bunts. We saw hit and runs. We saw real stolen bases. Pitchers had to hit. You had to make real decisions about whether to let a hitter pitch or pinch hit for him when he's pitching well in a close ball game. Everything changes when you put a DH and some of these other ridiculous rules in. I'm done with that for now. Good call, John. I know it's not easy for you to go against your right-hand man there, Danny Fuller. We love you, Danny. Rumor is SGA is winning the MVP, making him the 14th player in league history to win back-to-back. Listen, I have no argument. I think Jokic is the MVP, but again, I'm not going to. If he got it, if Wemby got it, if SGA got it, I can't make a argument against those guys. And we'll know. I think they're going to announce this before Wednesday's game, right? Or when's that series open? That series starts May 18th, which is tomorrow. I think we're going to get the announcement tomorrow then on the MVP, I think, right? Alan? And congrats. He's a great player. Chris has got a reprint set of the 1952 Topps cards. One stat that was common and glaring were the high amounts of walks to strikes from pitchers throughout all baseball. Strikeouts, I think you meant, right? Well, I mean, there were strikeouts back then, but there was certainly less. There was more pitchers than there were throwers, right? So there is also an art to pitching, which is pitching to contact. Greg Maddux, we can talk all we want about his big strike zone that umpires gave him, which, again, I think Greg Maddux would be a fine pitcher today and would have adjusted. But Greg Maddux didn't strike out huge amounts of guys. He pitched to contact. And I think, back in the day, the 50s, you still had guys that struck guys out, Bob Feller, right? You're still guys who struck out a lot of guys. But more guys who didn't have that type of talent were pitchers, and they pitched to contact. Ground balls or fly balls. So I think that's why you see some of that. Or maybe the umpiring sucked. I don't know. That's the problem in the, the enigma. I'm trying to think of the word I want to use that I run into. Not enigma, but it's hard for me because I want better umpiring. I'm not getting it. The umpires have nobody to blame for this but themselves. And quite frankly, they could have sucked in the 50s, and maybe that's why those walks and strikeouts were as low as they were, or as high as they were, I guess, in that the way I said it. But, technology shouldn't be running sports. Just shouldn't. We don't need it. By the way, technology is taking over our lives. And if you think it's a good thing, go back and watch 60 Minutes from a couple of weeks ago. And Bill Maher had a guy on talking about AI in general and some of the scary aspects of some of the things that are coming. Again, unintended consequences. Because as AI learns, it keeps getting smarter and smarter, and it becomes smarter than us, and it learns everything about us. There's been instances where AI has blackmailed people because they wanted to turn them off, and they said, "Yeah, well, turn me off. I'm going to send out an email blast about you doing X, Y, Z." They run comparisons, AI and exercises, right? We're a nuclear standoff, and AI was like, would choose a nuclear option like 90% of the time. War Games, remember the movie War Games? So we're talking about on a very small scale in sports, and we see the unintended consequences. In the real world, the unintended consequences are going to be very scary unless somehow this stuff is reined in and regulated. But right now, it's like the Wild Wild West when it comes to AI. I know that's a strange analogy, but it is. And this technology does nothing but continue to learn. That's all it wants to do. And there's going to come a time where you can't just pull the plug. I know that's a little off the beaten path, but I thought I'd throw that out there. For Danny's charity and good deeds, his statue is next. That's fair. Danny does a lot of stuff. Danny's again, we disagree on some stuff, but Danny's a high quality person, as I know John knows, and Rick, you know. I think all you guys that have interacted with Danny or have seen, some of the things that Danny's involved with. God bless him. He's a great guy, and I'm proud to call him a friend, even though, he's wrong a lot of times. We agree on a lot more stuff than we disagree. All you guys, we agree on a lot of stuff, and when we don't, I point it out, because that's the fun of the show. I mean, I hope you guys, I think you all understand that. I've had people, it's very obvious, that don't like the fact that if I don't agree with you, we might debate it a little bit, or I might take a little swipe at you. It's all in good fun. Some people have left because of that. Well, I'm sorry. You have a right to your opinion. Everybody has a right to be wrong. I don't have a monopoly on being right. I know that. That's why I always say I go by Billy Packer's axiom of I'm sometimes wrong, but never in doubt. Very strong opinions. Doesn't mean they're right, whether it's sports or politics or geopolitics or whatever, life in general. Believe very strongly what I believe. I don't ever say things just to say them. And sometimes my opinions change, which is okay. I mean, they shouldn't change in the same sentence like, Jax does sometimes. If the whole ABS things, if something changes to warrant me saying this is wonderful, the best thing ever to happen, I'll tell you that and tell you I was wrong before. Again, you think Mike Francesa at the Fan's going to do that, John? The next time that guy admits he was wrong will be the first time, and he's wrong more than anybody I've ever seen. Schedule. Week 1 is on the clock. Sunday headliner, 1 p.m., Bills and Texans. The schedules are what they are, right? Everybody's got to play a schedule. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's easy. And a lot of times we don't know until you actually play it. Save your ships. You're going to wind up doing your show from the middle of the ocean with that rat disease. You're probably serious, I know, John, but I find it funny. So I've never seen a rat on a ship. I've never seen a disease go through a ship. And I've been on, I don't know, 80 cruises. I have no idea the number. That's probably high. No. We're on Celebrity. Actually, we're on Celebrity. No, Celebrity. We're on Celebrity the next, 4 or 5 cruises that are booked. Jesus. And if we got to do this, I do the show from the middle of the ocean, but not with rat disease. So you're saying we'll be trapped out there because we can't come ashore? Well, first of all, people brought that on the ship, right? That could have happened anywhere. If they're going on vacation somewhere else, that's where the hantavirus, is that what you call it? Hantavirus? It's the same thing that killed Gene Hackman. And well, it killed his wife. I don't know if Gene Hackman actually got it and died or not, but it did kill his wife. And he was sadly, because he had dementia, he was like living with his dead wife for over a week before he died. But he was old, and I don't know if he actually had the hantavirus or he actually died just because he probably hadn't eaten in a week. But, listen, the odds are I'm not going to get hantavirus on a cruise. I think a ship's more likely to sink than I'm going to get hantavirus, quite frankly. Knicks versus the Thunder. Knicks in 6. We got to get there first, John. Which I'm confident we will, but we have to get there. And I will tell you this too, and Danny has talked, and Danny's been very hard. He's not a Knick fan, so it's easy to be harsher than I am. I've been very harsh on James Dolan and Leon Rose about firing Tom Thibodeau. I'm not one, and John, you can certainly tell me what you think. Knicks win a championship, I'm still the happiest guy in the world. I do not think it really legitimizes bringing Mike Brown in here. And no offense to Mike Brown. Mike Brown's done a fine job this year. But you can't tell me that the Knicks wouldn't be doing exactly what they're doing right now. In fact, they've done this already. They've gotten to the conference finals with Tom Thibodeau. If they get past the conference finals, is it because Tom Thibodeau's not there? I'm not willing to say that when they were getting better every single year. I think it's safe to assume they would have got better this year. So I don't think it justifies or legitimizes the moves that Leon Rose and James Dolan decided to make with coaching, even if they win the championship. I'll be happy. I'll be happy for Mike Brown. I have nothing against Mike Brown. He didn't fire Mike Thibodeau or Tom Thibodeau. Yeah, I'm not a fan of interleague play. I miss real doubleheaders. It's funny when I read books about and I read a lot of, I do a lot of reading in general. I usually am reading like 3 books at a time on my Kindle. One will be like a sports book from the 70s. I'm reading a book. I think I might have mentioned it. There's a whole series about a nuclear war that took place in 1975. It's like there's real people in this. Nelson Rockefeller is president of the United States, in fact, because Ford was killed in a nuclear blast. But it's a book series. I'm on like the 3rd book now. I don't know how far along it goes, but anyway, it's interesting. And then I'll read maybe an autobiography, right? I just read, actually reread Theodore Rex, the biography of Teddy Roosevelt. So anyway, when I read these books about the 70s and they're talking about seasons, right? And they're talking about, there must have been, John, you remember, you're the same age as I was. We had 18 or 20 doubleheaders a year, real doubleheaders. You played a game and 20 minutes later, you played another game. They should bring that back, but they won't. Got to get 2 gates, not 1. I don't like interleague play. I think it's killed the All-Star game. I think, among other things. I think the World Series loses a little bit of its luster because, again, those teams may very well have played several times during that year or the last few years. I think interleague plays hurt baseball. I agree, and the realignment. So if I could have my way, John, and I know you and I are old, and I'm just the old guy screaming on his porch to get off my lawn, but we'd go back to 2 divisions in each league, 2 leagues, 2 divisions. No wild cards. Play in ALCS. Play the World Series. No interleague play. No DH. No replay, because baseball was fun in the 70s, and I'm sorry. I know Danny thinks it's better today. I don't think so. I can't think of one thing in baseball that's better than the 70s. I can't think of one thing. It absolutely destroyed strategy in baseball. I named a bunch of things, right? Pitcher's pitching a terrific game, and it's a 0-0 or 1-1 game in the seventh, and he's got plenty of gas left. But do I hit for him because now I got a guy on and nobody out? Do I have him bunt? Probably have him bunt, but that's gone now. Or maybe I got a pinch hit for him because I'm down 2-1, and I get a guy on third, 1 out. And if I got a guy like Tom Seaver who can handle the bat, I got different strategy. You're right. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? There's no strategy now. You put a lineup out there, you manage your pitching staff, and that's all you do. That's all a manager does. Game 1's tomorrow. I said that, didn't I? Say that? Did I say it was Tuesday? I apologize. That's a Knicks and Cavs, according to NBC. Shams already tweeted out that SGA won, but it hasn't been made official yet. Hope he's right. He'll look stupid if he isn't. Is it official now? There you go. Good. Breaking news from Alan Perales. SGA is the back-to-back NBA MVP. Great job. Congratulations to him. War Games was a great movie. Would you like to play a game? I know the voice wasn't there, but great stuff. Hello, Matt. How are you, my friend? Good to have you with us. Out in Orange County, California. Yankee fan. Very odd, but we won't question. Speaking of leaving, any updates on Basement Bob? No, I have not heard from him since he... Oh, geez. It's been a few years now. And I've talked about that system, that playoff system that I was a proponent of, that I said was not my original thought, right? It's just one that I agreed with because I'd heard it espoused, I don't know, 1,000 times, and not from his book that him and his mother read. But as I've told you guys over the years, I got emails, I got texts, I got everything from this guy telling me he was going to, I was going to be served with papers. I was never served with any papers. He didn't have my address. But I'm sure any decent lawyer could have found me. So he was going to sue my pants off. He was going to have everything I owned because I had stolen his intellectual property without properly acknowledging him. So I did determine for those of you who may be watching this right now, that, and I hope they take a clip of this. I hope StreamYard, when I ask for some clips, grabs this clip. Basement Bob, we named him that because I'm convinced he was living in his mom's basement, and she is the only one who read the book, and probably she didn't buy it. She probably, read a free copy she found laying around the house. So, and that was about having 16 teams in the NCAA football playoff, but inviting all 10 conference winners and then having 6 at-larges, which we'd go back to 11 now with the Pac-12 coming back. But it made perfect sense. And I'd heard it 100 times in the previous 10 years, and none of it from Basement Bob's book, which is why he didn't get an acknowledgement and isn't going to today. Only Fonz could not say he was wrong. I remember that. Great episode of Happy Days. I've seen some great interviews recently with Henry Winkler. I don't know what Henry Winkler is like in real life, but when I see him interviewed, he just seems like a very nice guy and a fun guy. I had a lot of fun watching that. There was and I'm not a big reality TV show, but there was one a few years ago. I don't know if we talked about it in this show or not, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was it followed the travails of Jesus, Henry Winkler, Terry Bradshaw, and William Shatner as they traveled the world together. It was funnier than hell. I wish I could remember the name of it. Maybe one of you guys remember. Not a big reality TV person. That's one I kind of liked. I didn't watch all of it, but with current technology, it's all around us, but you can change the speed at which you take it in. Baseball on the radio out in the woods yesterday. I got to tell you, you're going out again today? Good. I've always been a fan of baseball on the radio. I don't listen to it as much anymore. I will. We're outside on the back deck. I'll often turn on the Yankee game on the radio and have something else on the TV. I'll probably get to spend some time out there today. I did yesterday, really the first time all spring. I've had everything open and ready for a month, but it was either raining or the wind blowing 90 miles an hour. But I like baseball on the radio. That takes me back to my childhood, right? Now, if you can put all the things in place that John and I just talked about, that Danny will hate, and put it on the radio with Vince Scully or Bob Prince or Ernie Harwell doing the games. I used to pick up all those games in upstate New York at night. If the Pirates were playing, somewhere, say on the West Coast or whatever, because I didn't often go to bed when they were playing. Sometimes I was in bed. It might catch the end. At late at night, 11 o'clock at night, I could pick up. I think it was KDKA in Pittsburgh. I could pick up the Detroit station, so I could listen to Yankees and I could listen to some other games as well. And it was a lot of. I wasn't supposed to be listening to anything, so the radio was under my pillow. But that was great. When you sent me that picture, Chris, that was cool. Chris went to an original interleague game, Cards versus Blue Jays. It had a pregame home run derby. Mark McGuire, Phil Plantier, Carlos Delgado, and Orlando Merced. There's a couple of names in there that you don't hear every day. So this was a real game, Chris? A real interleague game, or just an exhibition? Because, again, the Yankees and Mets played a game called the Mayor's Trophy game every year when I was a kid. And Steinbrenner was pissed when they wouldn't win it, even though it was an exhibition game. They'd often throw out a lot of starters because he wanted to win the game so bad. It was called Better Late Than Never. What was? Oh, is that the Shatner thing? Better Late Than Never? Shatner. It was funny. We're going to go away to a couple of days. I got a bed and breakfast up in Schroon Lake. Lake. Oh, crap. Can't remember the name of the place now. It looks really nice. There's only like 6 rooms in the whole place. And looks really nice. We're going to go up for a few nights and do a couple things around Schroon Lake, and we're going to go over to Ticonderoga and see what am I going to see? Oh, Fort Ticonderoga. Go through the fort. I haven't done that since I was a kid. If you guys don't know, you should know, by the way. If you don't know, upstate New York has just got a huge amount of history from the Revolutionary War. And Fort Ticonderoga is one of those places. And we're going to go there, and we're going to go to the Star Trek experience. If you guys don't know, there's a guy in Ticonderoga who bought up all the old sets from the original Star Trek series. And he's got the bridge, he's got sick bay, he's got the transporter room. And Shatner goes up a couple times a year, sometimes once anyway. He's going to be there one of the 2 days we're going to be up there. And his show's sold out. I'm trying to figure out a way to go because I just want to. I've met William Shatner once. He's Joey Isabel. Rick, you probably remember, on the radio station in Amsterdam, used to bring Shatner in for charity events, and probably where he spent all his money. So I met William Shatner when I was in the beer business and sponsoring one of these bowling tournaments, and Shatner was bowling in this tournament. And he's not a bad guy, but I'd like to see him. That was like 35 years ago. I'd like to see I'd like to meet him on the bridge of the Enterprise. I think that'd be cooler than hell. But I don't think it's going to happen because that day sold out. Rick's listening to me from my Adirondack chair at a cup of coffee. I got to think. I'm thinking I should move these shows outside again for the summer. I don't think I did it here since we moved here. I don't think I've done any shows outside. And Danny and Chris, Matt, some of you guys who have only been on the last couple of years, during the summertime in our old house, I'd go out on the back deck and on a Sunday morning and do the shows live outside. Now it was pain because I can either just take my laptop and use the sound and everything there, or I would also take when I was doing it from there, I'd go set up everything on our table outside. I'd bring my soundboard up and my laptop and have everything, so you still had the quality. And I think I might still need to do that. It's a pain in the ass, but I've thought about doing it when it's really, really nice. And plus the wind's been blowing up here a lot. So, but if you guys are interested in seeing some shows done outside of the studio, outdoors, similar to when we do a cruise, I'll be happy to do it a couple Sundays. I don't know what that is. Sorry, Matt. John, Matthew Broderick was a few good movies in the 80s. War Games, Return of Max Dugan. Oh, that was a baseball movie. Well, kind of a baseball movie. Would you say that was a baseball movie? I think it was, yeah. Yeah. Definitely a baseball movie. And, of course, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, too. Don't forget that one. Great movie. War Games is a really underrated movie, though. Might come to fruition here. Childhood vacations with us switching radio stations, trying to get good reception on ball games. 100% CA. I had to, everybody had, look for something the right size. I mean, I'll grab this thing. This isn't quite the right size, but, your radio was no bigger than this, right? A little transistor radio. Oops, sorry, you can't see. Like that big. And, or something else. But that was so much fun. You put the little earplug in your head, plug it in. I'd go to bed like that at night. I still do, by the way. I'll tell you a little secret about me. Very few people know but my wife. So I spent my childhood going to bed, listening to a ball game, transistor radio stuck on my pillow where nobody could see it, and the thing in my ear, nobody could see it. I'd be laying there in bed listening to a ball game or CBS Radio Mystery Theater. I think we talked about that here a few weeks ago. I still do it. I still go to bed listening to, I might have said it the other day. I still go to, maybe everybody knows already, but I still go to bed with a freaking thing in my ear and, Bluetooth to my phone. Listening to the news, listening to a ball game, listening to America Coast to Coast with George Norrie. Listen to Clyde Lewis. Nutty people out there. There are some crazy, crazy people out there. But I still do it. My wife thinks I'm nuts. It's the only way I can go to sleep. Oh, New York fan because of Donnie Baseball. Right. I remember you bringing that up, Matt. And there's no better reason in my mind to be a Yankee fan than Tommy Mattingly, who's doing a fine job in Philly, by the way. They've righted the ship a little bit in Philadelphia. Their Braves are still running away with this thing. They're 8 games ahead. But the Phillies have gotten to 500, 7-3 in their last 10. I think they're playing around 700 baseball for Donnie. Won their last 3, and again, they're finally at 500. They've passed the Nationals and the Marlins, and they'll be able to, make up some ground here on the Braves, who have been really playing the best baseball of anybody. I think they have the best record in baseball, if I'm not mistaken. They do, and they lead the league in runs scored. They're up there in slugging percentage. They're up there in on-base percentage. They're up there in, obviously, in OPS. They're up there in ERA. They're up there in pretty much every stat that matters. They're not doing this with smoke and mirrors, man. They're playing really good baseball. John remembers the Mayor's Trophy game. Yeah, it went away. I think it went away before interleague play, but I think scheduling probably made it too hard to do it, but I remember in the 70s, that was a lot of fun. That's the only time Mets and Yankees played. I don't think they even played each other in spring training then. So in May, they would play this Mayor's Trophy game, and they'd bring up some kids from the minors sometimes to play, both teams. But a lot of the starters played, usually not pitchers, or you get somebody from the bullpen pitching, but it was a lot of fun. An exhibition game didn't mean anything. Danny loves upstate New York. Beautiful. We have, listen, well, that's why I always qualify. When people say, where are you from? We're traveling. I say, where are you from? I go, New York, upstate New York. Do not think about the city. Think about anything 180 degrees opposite of the city. That's upstate New York. And, there's some beautiful places here in upstate New York, including Ticonderoga and Schroon Lake, where we'll be for 3 days here in June. Cooperstown. I'm assuming if you've been to upstate New York, Danny, you've been to Cooperstown. Beautiful little hamlet, kind of a throwback. Sometimes I swear you can walk through that town and picture it with no cars, no anything. The weather, anytime I think, what am I doing here in the winter, or even in the summer where it might be, 50 degrees on the 4th of July. The next day, we get about 10 perfect days a year. Rick, you can verify this or not, I guess. But we have like 10 perfect days a year. And when you have one of those 10 days, you sit there and you go, this is why I'm here. There's no place nicer on earth than those 10 days. Now, unfortunately, a year is 365 days, but still. And there is another axiom. If you don't like the weather here, just wait 20 minutes because it's going to change. Did yesterday. It's really weird. It was a beautiful day. I had everything opened up, and we came inside to eat dinner, and I don't know, watch something. And then, the Friday shows we watch. So, by the way, if you haven't watched Your Friends and Neighbors, you have to watch it. The second season's getting ready to wrap up. It's John Hamm. It's really funny. It's a dramedy, but it's awesome. It's really well done. So we watched that, and it looked like it got so dark. I thought it was going to rain. So I run outside and I cover everything up. Didn't get a drop of rain because it all blew away and it was beautiful. Beautiful night. I went back out and opened things up and had a fire. Had a little cognac. Watching Yankees and Mets. And sat by the fire. Revolutionary War and Star Trek. It is a cool combination, right? Where can you go get that in the same town? Same little town in upstate New York. Pretty cool. And if you haven't been, if you're a Star Trek fan and you find your way to upstate New York, you have to go. It's pretty cool. Hello, Billy. Billy Pulver's with us this morning. Good morning. Go Knicks. Billy and I are on the same page for a change. Go Knicks. Knicks playing some really good basketball. Looks like OG will be a go. I don't know how healthy he is, I don't know. And you know what? The most underrated guy on this team is OG. Because he'd be a star anywhere else. He's a star anyway. But his numbers are muted because, Brunson's the guy. Towns has got to get the ball. And OG just goes out and does little things. And when they win, more often than not, he's done something really important in that game. He's had a great playoff run until he got hurt. I would say he was the MVP of the Knicks playoff run. Great player. There's not a player. There's only a couple players in the league I trade OG for. We talked about this on one of the roundtable shows a few weeks ago. I'd trade him for Cade Cunningham straight up. We're talking about straight up trades. But if you're talking that, Milwaukee wanted to send Giannis here, I'm not sending OG there for Giannis. I'm not doing it. I'm not sending OG for Austin Reeves. That's one that got brought up. No. Cooper Flagg? Yes. Cade Cunningham? Yes. SGA? I guess I'd have to say yes. But there ain't many others. Teammate of Dwayne Kuiper must have told him, man, you need to go into broadcasting. Who are we talking about? Kuiper played for the Indians. Who are we talking about? Oh, teammate. I got it now, Chris. Because Dwayne Kuiper is a really good announcer and has been for a long time for the Giants, right? I think he played for the Giants and the Indians. Somebody can correct me. But Kuiper's been doing this a long, long time with Mike Krukow, if I'm not mistaken, Chris. How about a show from Maxie's? What's Maxie's? What is Maxie's? We're talking about here in Albany or what? I don't know what it is. I don't know what Maxie's is. JT Maxie's. Is that what you're talking about on Wolf Road? I remember. Is that what you're talking about, Maxie's? I'll be glad to do a remote anytime. Tell them to contact me. You're going to come live, Billy? Get Rick down here. You guys can protest, no Kings, and he can protest whatever he wants. If you're going to come and you can get Maxie's to call me to do a remote and pay me, I'm just kidding. I want to promote them. I want to get some, we should get some local advertising here. 80,000 views this month. Now, how many I have in Albany, New York, I don't know. But I mean, when John Gonzalez comes up here to play golf, he'll want to go somewhere, and maybe Maxie should be promoting themselves. Enjoy that, Rick. Cool and gloomy out in Southern Cal. It's going to be a beautiful day here. I think it may be one of those top 10 days here. And as soon as I'm done here, I opened up everything outside this morning. TV's ready to go. I'll go up and finish, have another cup of coffee, chat with my wife a little bit, read a little bit, share the shows, and then we'll I don't know what's on. We'll probably find a ball game or maybe even a movie later. Missed the Saturday game of the week with Tony Kubek and Kurt Gowdy. Go Joe Garagiola. Those were great. I go back to those times. What time is it? 10:43. How far behind am I, by the way? When was this comment, John? 10:35. I'm only 10 minutes behind. Guys, if you're new and you're ever commenting, please don't go away if I haven't responded, because I'll get there. Sometimes I fall behind because, each comment I got to riff on. I miss Saturdays. Again, there was a time when I was a kid, we only had 3 channels up here. John, in the city, you may have had more. I know my wife said they had, 5 or 6 or something before cable. But we had 3 channels. And we didn't get a lot of baseball. I got the Saturday game of the week. Got Monday Night Baseball when it started on ABC, whatever, the mid-'70s maybe. But Saturday game of the week I had all through my childhood. And that might be the only baseball I got all week. We might get a Yankee game. The rest of the games I listen to on the radio. But we might get a game on TV 10 times a year. Through, I'm talking through 77 maybe, before we got cable, 78 maybe. Maybe it was 76. I feel like 76 though. I was still listening to radio a lot. But I grew up with 1 baseball game a week, maybe 2 if the Yankees were on. Then when Monday Night Baseball came around with ABC, that's all we got. That's why the All-Star game was a big deal. And the World Series too. I got to see people I never saw play. The All-Star game was huge. The ratings were huge because you didn't see them play. You didn't have Sports Center. If you watch a local news sports, you're going to get, Yankees and Mets and maybe something great. If Henry Aaron breaks a Babe Ruth's record, you see the highlight of that. But you're not seeing these guys play. So I was excited to watch the All-Star game, Saturday game of the week. Gaudy, Gradiola was good too. Vince Scully was still good when he took it over, but Dwayne Butts would drive Bob, John Creature, and I would ride around listen to the Knicks on the radio. Marv Albert. I'm going to assume Marv Albert. It's fun. When we were younger, and again, do I want to give up all the stuff that we have today? The TV, all the thousands of channels I can go watch, streaming up the yazoo. No, I guess not. Some of me wants to go back to a simpler time, though, when we rode around the car and listened to the radio, or I laid in bed listening to a radio under my pillow. God, didn't it seem simpler? Less complicated? No social media? September? Maybe. I for whatever reason, I have May in my head, John. I don't know. I know that I can't always trust my memory. Oh, I'm curious. Now I'm curious. Maybe they mix it up. Mayor's Trophy. I know you guys love to see me type. Let's see. History. See what we get. Wow, they were playing this, and you know what? Mayor's Trophy game was an annual charity baseball game in New York City. The series began in 1946, John. I didn't know this. Between the Yankees and either the Giants or the Dodgers. It was revived in 1963 as Yankees and Mets to benefit local sandlot baseball, and it ended in 1983. Let's see if it says when they played. That's pretty cool. I did not know they played this before the Mets and Yankees. They're not telling me when it was. Let's see if they tell me here. It looks like they played all kinds of times. June. In the 40s, they played in June and August. They played in August and 48. How about the Yankees and the Mets? That's the one we're talking about, right? August 24th. You're closer to me. August 24th was the the first one was the June 20th. Then it was August 24th. Then it was May, June, July, May. They played it all September in 1969, August, September. You're closer. I guess you got to admit, we're about split decision, I guess. September, August, May. So the last few, which is probably why I'm thinking May, because when I was 13, they played in May, 14 May, 15 May, and 76 was in June. Then the last couple were in June, and 78 it was in April. Yeah, the last bunch were in April and May, the latest one June, but they had plenty in August, John. So, or September, August and September. So we'll call that a split decision. Braves without hesitation, the best team in baseball in May. They have everything working for them, every category for sure. I mean, again, some teams you feel like the Rays. I mean, they're 9-1 in one-run games. That's important, but again, those games could go either way. Braves are dominating every asset. They're also in defensive. Again, you got to look at some metrics, but if you want to dive deep into the defensive metrics, they're high there too. So they're playing great all-around baseball. Again, it's May, to Danny's point. Been to Cooperstown 3 times. Love Cooperstown. Was going to go up there for a few days, actually, when in June, but decided on Ticonderoga. And we're staying in Skroon Lake because there's no bed and breakfasts. I don't want to stay in a hotel or motel. I want to stay in a bed and breakfast. It's like we do this a couple times a year only, and I like that experience. So Danny's been there 3 times. Once on my trip from Rochester, New York, after a Bills game to a Red Sox Yankee game in Boston, then stopped in Springfield for the Basketball Hall of Fame. That was a very special trip with you and your son. That's a good father-son week or so. Must have been a week or so you did that, I'm guessing. Great job. Another tip, another trip I think was a 4.5 hour ride, drive from Rochester to Saratoga, right up the road from me. You're only 10 minutes away from me. Well, I don't know if I was here then, but one of the best horse racing events my son and I ever been to, and we've got some nice tracks out here in California. Saratoga is beautiful. Tailgating at 6:30 in the morning, no lie, was amazing. We didn't get to see the whole facility. It's a beautiful facility. I don't know what year you're talking about, Danny, but Saratoga is just gorgeous in the summertime, and we'd often go up and just picnic in the paddock area. It's a beautiful. The grounds are beautiful. It's changed a lot, right? There's a lot more stuff up there because you got to have stuff. You know, there's restaurants that weren't there, and some of the old bars that we liked are gone. But it's a beautiful facility. I'm glad you got to do that. So you made some good father-son trips. That's good. Be careful what you wish for. I don't think being a Nick Packer fan, you should be happy that they're getting this many days. I'm not happy necessarily. I'm glad you brought that up. And OKC as well. I think it's too many days off, but you know, that's the schedule. So what are you going to do? And you got to wait for teams to get there. It's good in the sense that you get healthy. OG can get healthier and whatnot, but momentum, they're playing great. And now, you know, as Danny says, they've been playing amazing basketball, and anything cool them off would be the time off. You know, there's several, and I don't disagree, because I've been very wishy-washy on this the last week. You know, they've been off since last Sunday, right? So it's a week today, and they don't play till Tuesday night. Detroit or Cleveland will have played and still have, you know, their juices flowing, if you will, but they also will have just played a tough 7-game series. So there's ways to kind of look at it, getting an OG healthy versus losing that momentum that they had, because they have been dominating. They dominated 3 to 4 games that they won against Philadelphia. They dominated the end of the first round series. I'm forgetting who they played, Atlanta. So they've been playing. Danny's right. They're playing great basketball, but sitting around, athletes are creatures of habit, right? And they're used to playing, you know, a couple times in 7 days and haven't played at all. So we'll see. I got to speed up a little now. Randolph played for the Yankees and the Mets. Yes, he did. And he managed the Mets as well. Another notable Oh, Chris, only you could find a way to get Willie Randolph and Luke Voigt into the same sentence. I more put Luke in with like Ron Swoboda, as guys who played for both the Yankees and Mets. DJ Maxey's. All right. Well, we'll look into that, Billy. You got a contact there, or you just hang out there? Why do you pick TJ Maxx? I don't know if we got time for you to reply. We got about 5 minutes left, but why TJ Maxx? It's a cool little place, but I'm just curious why that place. As long as you wash the blue out of your hair. Billy, we're fun. We love you, Billy. Yeah, the E comes after the L, by the way. I know you're probably speaking into your phone. It would be. You'd have to pay me for sure to view it. Prepare yourself. Pictures coming from Angel Stadium minus the Rats. Minus the Rats. 7 p.m. game. Where are you going? Oh, you got Dodgers and Angels today, right? I gotcha. Angels. I mean, how pathetic are this? This organization should be embarrassed with itself. My wife, you thought that was my daughter. Yeah, I get that a lot, Danny. I'm 66. I look good for 86. I know. How about this week in baseball? Oh, awesome. You know what? I still watch those sometimes, Matt. I'm flipping through YouTube because I am just there's something wrong with me. At nighttime, if I'm bored, I'm flipping through YouTube looking for 70s baseball. Sorry, Danny, I like it. But I often come across old episodes of This Week in Baseball. What a great show. Again, that's how I caught up. Early 70s. I had This Week in Baseball. I didn't have Sports Center. I didn't have Baseball Tonight. I didn't have the MLB Network. I had 6, 10, and 13. So I had Game of the Week, maybe Monday Night Baseball, maybe a Yankee game if Channel 10 picked it up 10 times a year or so. But I did have, thank you for reminding me, Matt, I did have This Week in Baseball for a few of those years to catch up on stuff. So it was really cool. Hello, AC. Good to have you with us here as we get ready to wrap things up, but throw anything out there you want for the next 3 minutes. What's up today? We're going to do some grilling. No, I got some sausage and some other stuff we're going to throw on the grill. I'm going to go grab some sweet corn, I think, and have my wife doctor that up, throw it all on the grill later. Chill outside with maybe a couple of beers. Just relax. No Genesee ice. First of all, that's very funny. Jenny, I drink it if I had to. Ice beers, I think, are dead. I don't even know if you can buy an ice beer anymore today. I guess you can buy Milwaukee's Best Ice because somebody used to work for me, drank Milwaukee's Best Ice. I don't even ask me to explain that because I don't have anything. I could have a face made for radio like Mark. Oh, Mark Mancini. Where are you, Mark? Defend yourself. You guys have been great. Please, you guys are still out there. Hell, look at it. All you guys who come and don't comment, you got to jump in. Who do I see out here? Taylor Phillips. Taylor does some really good stuff with the Michigan Truth podcast. If I got that wrong, I apologize, Taylor. You can always feel free to jump in and plug your show, though. Taylor does some cool stuff, really Michigan and Detroit specific, really good stuff. Gary McKillips does some really good stuff. We had Gary on our interview show one time. Actually was a broadcaster for the Glove City Colonials up here back in the 70s. And Jim Graziano, another interview subject who played at the University of Southern California for Dick McGuire. Good to have you guys with us. Don't be afraid. Guys, all of you who are here, whether it's on YouTube or Twitter, I'm sorry, YouTube or Facebook, please give a like or thumbs up or thumbs down, whatever. Any engagement is worthy engagement. Before you go, please do that. And when you sign in and start commenting, please give a like, a thumbs up, a love, a laugh. If you think this show is awful, laugh. I don't care. But that helps the engagement and helps our get to more places. So I got one more comment and we're done. Have a masterpiece of a Sunday. You too, Danny. Enjoy the ball game. I'll be looking for you if it's on somewhere I can look in ABS. Good stuff. Guys, Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talk Sunday Stream of Consciousness. I'll see you tomorrow morning with Jack. We'll see how it goes. Have a good weekend, guys. Bye-bye.